Hi there, my name is Michael, and welcome back to my movie corner, where every Monday I basically review a brand new movie that is on a spin wheel, which you will see somewhere on screen. And for today's movie review is Interview with a Vampire. So let's get started. So the plot follows main character Louis as we see him during his grieving process after his wife died in childbirth. And Louis just doesn't care about life. He actually looks for death every chance he gets. And because of that, he gets the attention of the vampire Lestat, who then turns Louis into a vampire. But here's the kicker: Louis still has his human morality. He still has his soul and refuses to kill people. But he does give in to those urges every now and again. But he primarily lives off of the blood of rats and other animals. It's not until the time of during the Black Death that they adopt a child named Claudia, simply because Louis isn't what Lestat wanted, and Louis wants to leave. And so, in a way, adopting Claudia gives Louis what he had lost all those years ago. And she does become that until after 30 years, when she resents Lestat for making her a vampire. And then when they leave Lestat, or rather think that he's dead, they go in search of other vampires, which then leads them to Paris. Boy oh boy, where do I begin with the main characters? I suppose I should start with the true main character being Louis, and how brilliant Brad Pitt played him. But before I go any further, I will be going into spoiler territory, so if you want to avoid them, if you haven't seen the movie, I should have the time code somewhere. Brad Pitt really brought his A game to this movie with showing the raw emotion that the character of Louis is feeling. The anger at the death of Claudia near the end of the movie, the hatred he feels for Lestat for turning him into a vampire, and how he walks in the beginning of the movie as if he's dead already. Lestat, played by Tom Cruise, smashed it in this movie. He really understood the character of Lestat and really brought the character to life from the book. I can't find anything wrong with his performance in this movie at all. And lastly, the last person to talk about is the amazing performance by a young Kirsten Dunst, as she really stole this movie while she was in it. The way she embodied a lot of Lestat's characteristics with her thirst for blood, but also had a softer side like Louis. But then after 30 years of being a child, she yearns to be a woman, but can't. And that is when she embodies Lestat the most, to try and come up with a way, and unfortunately, failed to kill Lestat for what he did to her all those years ago by making her a vampire. One thing that I didn't know until doing a bit of research was that the director of this film, Niall Jordan, is an Irishman. And 2 years after this movie came out, he wrote and directed the Michael Collins biopic. And another thing that I didn't know until actually watching the behind the scenes on the DVD was that this movie was in development for 20 years until it properly started, as well as he actually asked the original author to pen the script. In the scene where Claudia tries to kill Lestat, when his throat was slit and he was laying in a pool of his own blood, they actually swapped out Tom Cruise with a animatronic. At the time before this movie was released, vampires were seen as evil and monstrous. But when Interview with a Vampire came out in 1994, it opened the door to making vampires sexy, as well as showing a more human side to them, such as Louis feeling like a monster every time he fed. It's to my knowledge, unless someone can prove me wrong, that until the Twilight movies came out, Interview with a Vampire was the most successful vampire movie for about 15 years until Twilight came out. Interview with a Vampire came out in 1994 with a budget of 60 million USD and made back a grand total of 223.7 million at the box office. It's not hard to see why, with an amazing script, an interesting idea, and with hunks like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Of course, this movie would have done well, despite critics giving mixed reviews. Hi, so the reason why the audio sounds a bit odd here is because I'm actually recording this from my laptop because I wanted to quickly add this in before I give my final thoughts. And that is, as I was doing, really just getting photos to use during the parts where I'm not on camera, I've learned that they are actually making a reboot of Interview with a Vampire for TV. Uh, that's coming out this year, apparently. This is literally the first I have heard of it. So what I know is, because I actually do have the article pulled up here, so I'm not going to spend time talking about this, is that it is going to be on a streaming platform for AMC, as well as the original author and her son are co-producers, and there's no definite say when this is going to come out in 2022. So I just thought I'd, quickly tap this on before I get into my overall thoughts on this movie. So let's do that right now. So, did I enjoy this movie? Yes, I love this movie. I love all things vampire, so of course I was going to like this. And I've watched it a good few times over the years. And before this actual review, the last time I think I seen it was in 2019, I think. As well as during my rewatch, I forgot how amazing the cast is. Though I do have some issues with this movie, that being its length, and the fact that it spends too much time on certain things rather than other things. For example, Antonio Banderas' character. I feel they needed more time to develop that budding relationship between Louis and Armand. I also felt that Louis being trapped in that coffin whilst Claudia was being killed didn't feel long enough. It's just he goes in, some time passes off screen, and then Armand saves him. But other than that, I enjoyed this film, and I hold it in the same regard as Bicentennial Man and Nine, where it's a movie that I will watch once and then I won't watch it for a couple of years and then I'll rewatch it again. With that being said, though, I would give Interview with a Vampire a solid 8 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this, and next week will be the 10th movie review that I've done since starting this channel, which means after that, I will have to do a top 10 list of all the movies that I've just reviewed. So, what's the next movie review and the 10th movie review? Well, stick around and find out. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next Monday for another movie review.